Om Shrutis Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahai Tejasvi Dhavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So I have not explained the shlokas to you yet. Have you? Have I?
In the Kirti class, it's been covered. In this,
Kirti, we covered some shlokas. What about during the Shankara Jayanti? I think I covered maybe the Shrutis Smriti Purananam, etc. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I should briefly cover, tell you all the meaning of the shlokas. So initially we start with Shruti Smriti Purananam. So that is a shloka for Adi Shankaracharya. So Shankaram Namami. Shankaram Loka Shankaram Namami. So Shankara is looked upon as a repository of Shruti and Smriti and Puranas. So because of his such a central role in our tradition, so Shruti means all the Upanishads primarily, not so much the Karma Kanda but the Jnana Kanda. Then Smriti, so that in Bhagavad Gita onwards, Brahma Sutra onwards, all that is Smriti. So he has not only commented on this, but he's also written his own texts, and they're all Smriti. And what he writes are so important because he unlocks the Upanishads for us. Somebody has to open the Upanishad, otherwise we can't follow it. So that's why Brahma Sutra and all very cryptic, and so we need to study Shankaracharya. And sometimes in order to understand what he means by a particular word, we study Anandagiri Tika, Gopala Yatindra Tika, like this commentaries are there. So Shankaracharya, central role for us. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam, and then Karunalayam. Karuna, suddenly he introduces the word Karuna here. So it tells us that so much work was done 1,300, 400 years ago, according to one timing, and then 2,500 years ago, according to another historical evidence being presented these days. So if you go to the Kanchi Mutt in Govindapuram, there they've put the names and pictures not pictures maybe, names and drawings of all the acharyas from 2500 years ago. So they are able to trace to Adi Shankara to 2500 years ago. So Alayam, Karunalayam, because those days to write all these things, any day writing so much is a difficult thing. Then those days not only he wrote it, but without your iPads and laptops and all these modern zipping laptops, nothing, all cloud and all that. These days we use so many techniques. So palm leaves, painfully with a lot of effort, dried, prepared and all that. And copies of it. Each copy had to be almost like written original. So for such a culture to produce all this, for such an individual to do all this, that person must have so much karuna for the entire humanity. Daya, compassion. So Karunalayam. So Bhagavat Padam Namami. So I salute the feet. Shankara's feet are Ishvara. So for us the path, the feet, starting from our parents, we touch their feet and get their blessings. We don't touch their head and get their blessing. No, we don't do that. So feet, and then they bless us. So this is it's a very unique to our tradition. And so Bhagavat Padam, one whose feet is equivalent to Bhagavan, one who is respectful, worshipful. Namami Bhagavat Padam, Shankaram, Loka Shankaram. Loka Shankaram, Karunalayam, they go together. One who is a blessing to humanity. So I salute the Shankaracharya, who is a repository of Shrutis, Smriti and Puranas, and who is a board of compassion, and whose feet are treated as Ishvara Sakshat, so that I can be blessed by him, and who is a blessing to humanity, Loka Shankara. Okay, next is what? Shankaram Shankaracharya, Keshavam Badarayana, correct? So here both Vyasa and Shankara are worshipped, praised, and says Shankara, I consider Shankaracharya to be Shankara. So an avatar of Shiva, Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha. So one who blesses is called Shankara. Sham means Mangalam, Mangalakarta. I worship this Mangalakarta. Badarayana means Vyasa. I consider Vyasa to be equal to Keshava, namely Narayana, Vishnu. And I salute both of them because they are Sutra Bhashya Kritau. Kritau, dual. In Sanskrit, dual. So they Sutrakarta, Bhashyakarta. Sutrakarta is Vyasa, referring to Brahma Sutra. Vyasa wrote Brahma Sutra. Vyasa wrote all the 18 Puranas. He edited all the Vedas. He was the one who created the four-formed Veda. Veda was there before Vyasa also. But he, like these conference proceedings they publish. And they say editor. And then what he did was, he or she collected all the presentations and then put it in a particular format, created all the chapters and sections, everything, right? So that's what Vyasa did, Badarayana. And then I consider that Vyasa to be an avatar of Vishnu. And so here referring to Sutram, Brahma Sutram. So someday we will get a chance to study Brahma Sutram also. Swamiji here, right across the road, is teaching Brahma Sutram. And it's a text which has about 500 or so sutras. which talk about the Shastram, the methodology, and in a very different way through what is called sutras. And sutra itself, by definition, is a cryptic statement. I mean, it's actually a technique. Alpaksharam must have as minimum letters as possible. Our people have just figured out all kinds of techniques to preserve this knowledge. A sutram can be chanted, and as minimum letters as possible means what? Why take all these pains? I don't understand. They've thought through all this, I think. And so that particular idea is just crystallized and just remains there. And so the price to pay is that you need somebody to unfold it, to unlock it, right? That is a price to pay. But the advantage is it's there for anybody. Forever it is there, it is chanted, and it's easy, and people just memorize it and chant it. So that's the advantage, and the knowledge keeps going down generation to generation. So Sutrakarta Vyasaha, Bhashyakarta Shankaracharya. So Sutra Bhashya Kritau Aham Vande. Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande. Bhagavantau Punah Punah. I salute both of them again and again. Okay, so that is this. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshamam Badarayam. Then what? Ishvaro Guru Atmeti. So someday I'll talk about Dakshinamurti as a form of Shiva, as a role Shiva plays, who becomes important for the person who is studying Brahma Vidya, studying Vedanta, studying the Upanishads. And so here Dakshinamurti's teaching is emphasized, and through the teaching Dakshinamurti is worshipped. Dakshinamurti teaches. If you look at Dakshinamurti, the other day I showed in the Kirti class. So very popular in the southern part of India, and so he's seated, with a fire in the Dhamaro in the right hand, with fire in the left hand, and of course Ganga is flowing out from the head, and matted hair tied with a bandana band. They say modern and punk and all that. So Shivaji Maharaj must have been the modern first guy who came with all this hair and long hair. So very beautiful here. Now that you all know what Panchabhutas are. So this Murti is a very significant Murti for us. And I think now that I'm talking, I think it's fair for me to share that picture with you. So there it is. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, you all can see my screen now. Yeah. So Dakshinamurti, some of you may not know. So I want to show you this. This is Shiva, basically, as you can recognize very well. And I think I was showing this to our college children, and maybe I was making marks, and those marks have stuck here, these black lines. So okay, Dakshinamurti is here. Let me. Okay. So, one of the first things you see is Dakshinamurti looks young. You know, it's Gurur Yuva. So, another shloka is there, which we have not chanted. So, Chitram Vatataror Mule, and it says, Chitram Vatataror Mule. Hey, look, in this Vatavriksha, there is a tree here, and under the root of the tree is sitting this man, and it's Chitram. It's amazing. Chitram here means it's very interesting to see this. It's Chitram Vatataro Mule Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva. All the Shishyas, these are all students, Shishyas, they're all old people, Vriddhaha, Shishyaha Vriddhaha, and the teacher is so young. Gurur Yuva. Yuva. Teacher is so young, it seems. That is the beauty of this. Vriddha Shishya Gurur Yuva. Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya. So, it seems the teacher is not even talking. He's silent. And guess what happened to the students? And all students, their doubts got cleared. Chinna Samshaya. Doubts got cleared means what? It is like, they say, in movies they show all this, somebody throws the stone and then this guy aims and then shoots the stone and the stone just breaks into pieces, smithereens, and you can't even find out a single piece of the stone. So Chinna Samshayaha, doubts have just vaporized, vanished. Like that he taught, it seems. So that is this Chitra. And learning through silence, literally we don't take, we say it is the subject matter is Vedanta, Atma, Brahma. Brahma is Shabda Avachya. You cannot point directly to Atma and say this is Atma. And so, since Brahma cannot be objectified, that is represented here as Mauna Vyakhya, teaching in silence. Okay, that's what they say, teaching in silence. Many people take it literally and say Shiva taught in silence, and so we should all teach in silence. Like that they say, this is too much. So, this is too much because even when a person speaks slowly and steadily and clearly, then also our ability to understand this something, we're sleeping in class and we're, scratching our heads and our attention is wavering. And imagine the teacher sitting in silence. Why are you not talking, Swamiji? Because Shiva taught in silence. In silence, be silent, you all will understand. Yeah, somebody may be able to do all that magic, but in our ashrams, our Swamijis, they don't do this kind of magic. They teach like Shankaracharya taught and his Guruji taught and her Guruji taught. That is how teaching happens. So, Mauna Vyakhya here. So, Shabda Avachya means that topic which cannot be objectified, and because that topic is the self cannot be objectified. Therefore, Mauna Vyakhya. Okay. So, this particular Murti, let me share with you. So, let's talk about Panchabhuta. The Panchabhuta are represented here. Okay. Let's see how the Panchabhutas are represented. Okay. You all can see it. Yeah? Can you all see and hear? Okay, good. So, Akashaha, right? Tataha Akashas Sambhutaha, Akashad Vayuhu, Vayoragnihi, Agnerapaha, Adbhyaf Prithvi. Okay, Akashaha. Akashaha is represented by this drum. Drum, space. There is space in this drum, and space represents the Akasha Tattvam. Akasha Tattva. Space. So this is a great exercise. You tell children, give them some exercise. Small children that too. Children who are 3 years, 4 years old, who are all jumping up and down. You tell them, draw some things. Apple, then they will draw apple. Draw a car, then they will draw car. Draw um, some toy, Barbie doll, then they'll draw this. So like this, draw a house, they will draw. Draw love. Draw love means what? How do you draw an abstract thing? And they will draw love. Immediately they will show a heart and say love. And so you should ask them, draw space. I think they are very creative. I have a feeling, I have not done this exercise. They will find a way to show space in a picture. So this is how they have chosen to show space. Drum. And we also saw, right, Akashasya, what is it? Akashasya Satvikamshat Shrotrendriyam Sambhutam. So sound. So their sound also is there. So both sound also represented, Akasha represented. Okay, then what? Vayuhu. Okay, Vayuhu. So in this picture it's not clear, but in our ashrams and in many other Dakshinamurtis, what you will have is, you will find this hair in the back, it is tied with a bandana. It's tied with a band. Why is it tied with a band? Because there is Vayu, and it keeps on, it blows away the hair. So Dakshinamurti says, no, I want to tie it up. So it doesn't simply go this way, that way. Band represents Vayuhu. Okay? Vayuhu. Then what? Agnihi. Agnihi is right here. Agnihi. Vayu, Agnihi, Apaha. Apaha, I don't know if you can see Apaha here. Let me show you Apaha. Gangaji is watching. Quietly she's watching. Gangaji is there. So Ganga, Apaha. Okay. So there is Gangaji. Then what? Prithvi. Prithvi. So Prithvi, the entire Murti is solid. It's made of Prithvi. So Prithvi Tattva is there. Okay. Then there is a Ashtamurti. Ashtamurti Brit Deva Pujanam, says Ramana Maharshi. And Dakshinamurti also, Stotram, Purambam, Analo, Anilo, Ambaram, Aharnatho, Aharnataha, Himamshuhu. So Aharnataha is the Lord of the day. Aharnataha. So Lord of the day is Divakar. Divakar means Surya, Bhaskara. So all luminous objects in this world is also considered as one of the 8 essential elements of this world. In addition to the Panchabhuta. Even though Panchabhuta is the fundamental and everything is created from that, still in this other model there is Ashtamurti model. So there that sun is represented here. All luminous objects are represented by sun. That's right here. So Aharnato Himamshuhu. Himamshuhu. The moon is very much represented here. All objects, all celestial objects which are not luminous, which derive their energy from the sun. Okay, that is Himamshu. And then Puman. Puman. Finally, the 8th element. 8th element is this conscious being. The conscious being. Conscious being is this Dakshinamurti. Conscious being, and all the jivas here, conscious beings, all the students are all the rishis who are learning the Atma Tattva from Dakshinamurti, from Shiva, all conscious beings. So this Panchabhuta plus the luminous objects plus the non-luminous celestial objects. So the sun and the moon covers the entire universe. You say, oh, there are objects there, there are planets and galaxies. I don't know if you say, it will all come under this luminous and non-luminous objects. And then Puman, the individual conscious being who is the observer of this whole universe. Who is the observer of the whole universe? The universe is inert. The conscious being, the observer, is conscious, and who objectifies the entire universe. And Dakshinamurti is teaching that tattva here in this murti. So that's the significance here. And then a little more if you go. So he has, so there is a japamala here. You see japamala in the right hand. So that is all the sadhanas, all the puja, dhyana, bhajanadi, so nidhidhyaasana, mityadi, all that is represented. All the sadhanas we use, shravanam, starting from shravanam onwards, everything represented by this mala. And what he is teaching, so is represented by this chinmudra, jiveshwara aikyam. So the pointing finger represents the jiva. Pointing finger. Can you all see this? Yeah. So the pointing finger represents the jiva, and then the thumb represents Ishvara. Thumb represents Ishvara. So Jiveshwara Aikyam, very important symbology in our tradition. And of course, the Shastram is the source of all this. So he has the Shastram in his hands. The Vedas are there very much in his hands. And then I mentioned the other day, not in this class, I think, in the Kirti class. So there is this, you always find this, somebody, a small person, the small body, but a person who has a snake in his hand, and all. Now, what is all this? Has a snake in the hand. And here, this represents this ahankara. This represents each human being has ahankara. And the ahankara can either make me or break me. Correct? It can make me or break me. It can help me, or the ahankara can just destroy me completely. Through arrogance and aggression and egotism, whatever you want to say, I just get carried away and I am unstoppable and I get destroyed in the process. So this person here under the feet of Shiva is called apasmaraha, which refers to that ahankara in the person. And Shiva says, yeah, ahankara is there, all of us have ahankara, but my ahankara is under check. Means I make sure I watch myself, and I don't, make sure you also keep your ahankara under check. This is the idea. Check means it must be under the feet. Like that, it's under check, because this fellow is like the snake. Like how the snake comes without your knowledge. And it doesn't make noise. Snakes doesn't knock on your door and say, I'm coming inside, please open the door. All this it doesn't say. Slithers, and then comes. And then comes, and suddenly you're shocked. If you observe it, you're shocked. If you don't observe it, you're bitten. So this is the apasmara, and this is Dakshinamurti, who says that you please watch your apasmara. Watch your ahankara, ityadi. Watch ahankara means it refers to all our Ragadveshadi, Shad Ripuhu, sixfold enemies, they say. Right? So, Ragadvesha, Kama Krodaha, so likes and dislikes, Krodaha, anger, Lobaha, greed, Mohaha, getting carried away, deluded by things, Mohaha, and false values, Mohaha. And then Mada and Matsarya. Mada is some kind of aggression. Matsarya, jealousy. So these are the Shad Rupus which are represented by this Apasmara. Okay. So that is Dakshinamurti. So now this Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. That is what we are looking at. So this, what does Dakshinamurti teach us? Jiveshwara Aikyam. Everything in this world is mithya, sustained by that which is independent, called Brahma, that is Satyam. Correct? This is our teaching. So when everything is Brahma, then still how come I see so many things? And here he is choosing some things. The things he is choosing are Ishvara. That same Brahma is appearing to me as Ishvara, appearing to me as my Guru, Ishvaro Guru, and then Atma. And then I am this guy here, and I am alone, I am single, and I am double, I am married, I am accomplished, I am no good. Oh, I am a taxman is coming after me, and I am this, I am that, and I need to do this and that, and I am finished. If I don't do, I am finished. So that Atma. So this Brahma you are teaching, yet that Brahma seems divided. Seems divided as Ishvara, as myself, and as my teacher. And you can add as anything in this world. Ishvaro Guru Atmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine. In this way, Murti here doesn't refer to Dakshinamurti, it refers to the form. Three forms like Ishvara, Guru, and Atma. Like that, it is divided. Like what? Like Vyoma-vat. Vyoma here means space. So Vyoma-vat means space, like space. Like space appears divided. Nobody can divide space, yet space is there is space in the room. The walls apparently divide the space. The building divides the space. The drum divides the space, as it were. And there is space everywhere. All these boxes, there is space. Space appears divided by so many things, but really space is undivided. Correct? Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya. So that space which is Vyapta, all pervasive, like that, Dakshinamurti is all pervasive, and that Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. I salute Dakshinamurti, who appears, who is all pervasive like space, but appears divided like Ishvara, Guru, and myself, the Jiva. And that Dakshinamurti I salute. Okay. And then what? Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So a salutation to our lineage of teachers. So if I am learning, so how do you know there has been a lineage, if you ask? If you ask, it's very obvious. Because I learned it from my Guru, and he learned it from his Guru, and she learned it from her Guru, and like this it goes. Impossible to get this knowledge without a teacher. And even if you say, no, my Guru is this book, and you show me a book. You show me a book. Hey, if you say book, did somebody write a book or not? Then that person becomes your Guru, teacher. And so that's how the story goes. So where is this? Who started this? Who is the first teacher? And who is the first teacher means what? You can't answer that question. You can't answer that question. Because every teacher had a teacher. Therefore, we say Shiva Maharaj is our teacher, first teacher. We just let go and say, Ishvara, you are our teacher. And so Shivji is our teacher. And so that parampara, Sadashiva Samarambham, starting from Sadashiva, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Because of that central role, we recognize Shankara, without whom we would not have received the teachings. So without whom we'll be chanting some other mantras which start with the letter A and wearing a white cloth on our head. And that is true. Many scholars reason it out also. I'm not saying just like that. And so Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam. Until my teacher, that lineage, which is very pratyaksha to me and which is very important to each of us, Vande Guru Paramparam. This Guru Paramparam, Aham Namami. Then last thing is all these are shlokas. The last thing we chant in the beginning of a class is called a mantra. It's not a shloka. Sahana Vavatu. It's a mantra from the Veda.
Jayakumarji?
Yeah.
You didn't explain Gukaras Vandakaro.
Yeah, Gukaras Vandakaro. Okay, we normally don't chant in this class, but yeah, I can explain that. So there is, do you have that? Does everybody have a copy of that shloka? Gukaras Vandakaro. Yeah. So it is there in that puja and prayers. So that is a nice shloka somebody has written which explains the meaning of the word Guru. Meaning of the word Guru. So it says the letter Gu represents darkness. Gukaras Tvandhakaro Vai. The letter Gu represents darkness. That's all he says. And then Rukaras Tan Nivartakaha. The letter Ru represents the removal of that darkness. And now you have to interpret what this means. Then he says, Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururutyabhidiyate. Because the Guru removes that darkness, he is called or she is called Guru. That's what it says. So now, darkness here refers to the darkness in the mind. We're not worried about physical darkness here, obviously. So this darkness of ignorance of not just anything, but Mula Vidya, ignorance of the self. That is what matters finally. And so Atma Avidya, Brahma Avidya, the one who removes that is called a Guru. Ukarastvandhakaro vai, Rukarastan Nivartakaraha. Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururutyabhidiyate. The Guru is called so because he or she removes this darkness of ignorance. That is literally what the verse says there. Then Sahana Vavatu. It's a very important verse for those who are all studying the Shastra. So beautiful prayer. It's amazing because this is a prayer that is chanted by the teacher and the student. Means the teacher also, you will see what it says here. Sahana Avatu. Saha now Avatu. That is how it becomes. If you do the Padacheda, Saha now Avatu. Avatu is the verb here. Avatu means Rakshatu. Raksha karo. Raksha karo. Please protect. Please protect. Rakshatu. Avatu. Ava Rakshane. If you look up Dhatu Pata, it will say Ava Rakshane. So in the sense of protection. Okay. Avatu Rakshatu. Please protect. Who should protect? Saha Avatu. May he protect. Referring to Ishvara. May Ishvara protect. May he protect. May he protect whom? Saha now Avatu. That now and Avatu will join to become Navavatu. Okay, that is called Sandhi in Sanskrit. Now refers to both of us. Saha Avam Avatu. Saha Avam Avatu. Both of us. Both of us means what here? Both of us means the teacher and the student. Teacher, Swamiji, and our student. Like that it refers to. Because both of them are in the class. And so, Saha now Avatu, amazing, because the teacher is also praying and teacher is praying. Why teacher should pray? Because there are students waiting here, and they're waiting to hear something, and by which something can happen to these students, whether it is mathematics or physics or whatever it is, some subject. कुछ ना कुछ अर्थ का स्फुरण होना चाहिए सर में. So in this head, something should happen. After the class, what happened? If they should say, yeah, I learnt. The child also should say, yes, I know. No, they should say something. So therefore, and for that to happen, the teacher, this we are looking at this national educational policy, which the Indian government has sent out. And it's a policy that defines what the vision of the Indian government for the country for the next 5 years. Education means what? What are you going to do? What is your idea of education? What do you want your students to be? This is what they are supposed to say. They are accepting that India has failed in its attempt to achieve the vision set by our people so many decades ago. This they accept. Many government schools, the teaching is regularly irregular. Okay, regularly irregular. That's how bad it is, and thankfully they have accepted all this. I think it's a good start. So therefore, regularly irregular because teacher is not coming to class. Wonderful government buildings are there, schools are there, remote villages also, you'll be amazed, government buildings are there. I went to some villages and you see big buildings. And some of the students are studying outside the building. Why? Because this building, we don't know when it's going to fall down. And nicely smart people, they are sitting outside. So sometimes it's like that. Sometimes the building is there, teacher is not there. Sometimes the teacher is there, students are not there. Like this, the stories go on. So therefore, now the teacher also needs the prayer, because everything should fall in place. For a good class to happen, you see how many factors are there, and everything should fall in place. Saha viryam karavavahai. May we gain the capacity to study. The student should gain the capacity. The teacher also should gain the capacity to teach. Because teaching is not like any other subject where you can simply follow a recipe and then finish it off. It's not like driving to the market, starting the scooter and then or starting the car and driving to the market. It's not like that. Teaching is a completely different ballgame. And teaching young children even more difficult, because young children are all vibrant, active, and they're all moving around and chatting. They will stand up, they will run around, and this teacher has to take care of all of them. I've seen these classes, my God, and I used to ask myself, can I teach this class? Can I keep this body of excited beings that are popping up like atoms, and these protons and neutrons, they are running all over the place? And how am I going to deal with this? And some teachers are so good with them, and they need that love and affection must be there, and presence of mind must be there. So here, of course, this is being referred to a shastram. In a class where shastram is being taught, saha viryam karavavahai, may we gain the capacity to understand the scriptures. Tejasvi navadhitam astu. Adhitam, the study, the subject, that education we are getting here. We can't even use the word education here. That study, may it be tejasvi. May it be brilliant. May it be brilliant, because why should it not be brilliant? Why should it be any less than that? Why should the student not leave the class saying, I think this is amazing, I learned something and I want to continue to learn? Why should the student not say that? Why should there be anybody other than a teacher who has the capacity to deliver that? And we recognize it need not happen. The teacher can come to class and forget. Some important things forgotten. Correct? And he's searching for words. What was I doing? Sajeev, can you remind me what we were doing last class? And this, that, it goes on. And so it takes 5 minutes for the teacher to figure out what he or she is doing. And then children, have you done the homework? And like this, half an hour goes in some arbitrary conversation. Because the teacher is not here. He is thinking of something else, and he doesn't even think that there is a responsibility he has to discharge. So therefore, prayer. And even for that responsible teacher needs to pray, because things have to come. At the right time, the right examples have to come. And connecting the dots, the teacher must be able to do. All that is important in our teaching. And so, Tejasvi Navadhita Mastu. And then they add another beautiful thing here. Ma Vidvishavahai. Vidvisha. Dvesha. Dvesha. Very important. They have identified this. So, may the student not entertain ill feelings with the teacher. May the teacher not entertain ill feelings about students. How can ill feelings come? So we know, we have studied in school and college, we know how it is. So one teacher, the teacher is always partial to these two boys and girls. Or the teacher is always partial to girls, because that fellow has some weakness. And so here is a student that never submits homework. He lets them go. And this person, homework submitted, but some mistakes he has done, he beats her black and blue, or him black and blue. Always, that boy is, I remember in my class, so 1 or 2 people, the teacher always targets him. And no reason for this kind of violence in class. The clash, this beating and all that, has no place in class. Beating in our schools, especially, my God. I think these days, they say, I've been asking around, how are the schools these days? Does the teacher bring this scale and all that, ruler? And they say, no, teachers don't do all that. So I think that thankfully that American culture has come to India also, in some schools at least, which is good. I like that. Because this is just pure violence, and that cannot be there in classes. So that when can teaching occur? The teacher is first class, great teacher. Students are all very prepared, intelligent, well fed. They're coming, their stomachs are full, and they're coming, and they're ready. And yet, all these problems are there. The teacher is having these habits. Teacher is putting down this boy all the time. And teacher is putting people down. Oh, you always don't do the homework. You always do this. So sometimes in my Sanskrit class, I have to ask myself, should I tell people that you're not, doing the homework, or should I not tell? And I have all these doubts, conflict. Because it is good, I must say it, and sometimes I must not say it also. Both. So putting people down, that's the key here. The teacher's job is to encourage students. Swamiji says, he gives a definition of teaching which I like. Teaching is an activity where the student is driven to a corner from where the student cannot but see the fact, see the truth. Means, you get driven to the corner. We say, he drove me to a corner. I means, he didn't, I was trapped. And so in this case, you drive the student to a corner from which the student cannot but say, yes, I got it. Yes, I got it. That is teaching. Arthaspuranam has to happen. Because communication, so they talk everywhere, they talk about communication skills. In companies, it's a very big thing, communication skills. Talking to people, communication, and making sure, I was telling the college students the other day, making sure communication doesn't mean you simply throw some words out of your mouth and your job is done. It is a job to confirm that the hearer has understood what you have said. And then you have to come back and say, is that what you wanted them to understand? Then I tell them the story of this. You sit in a line, all this, as kids we used to do this. And one person murmurs something into the ear of the neighbor, and she does that, he does that, she does that, he does that, and comes back. And then this guy comes and tells him. And then the look on his face we should see. If he says like this, that's good. If he says like this, so that's communication. So important. Communication is so important. Two people close to each other. Also, communication doesn't happen sometimes. And it cannot be overemphasized. Cannot be overemphasized. So much is to be talked about. Swami used to talk volumes on this mantra. And so appropriately, we chant this mantra in our class every day. And every ashram, I'm sure they chant this mantra. And teacher getting angry at students and all that. That too, Vedanta teacher, I'm a Vedanta teacher. So I have the right to get angry at everybody. No, Vedanta teacher getting angry is a, what do you call it? Oxymoron. Unlike. And so all these things have to let go. We have to let go all these ideas. And so start with a prayer and to Dakshinamurti and say, we are here to study. Please bless all of us and let my mind be with me. Even though I have so many things to do after class, still during this 1 hour, please make sure that my mind doesn't wander. And let me, if there's a doubt, give me the strength to get that doubt clarified, and so on and so forth. So everything comes under this mantra. So, did I miss anything else in the shlokas?
The Om Shanti 3 times, I think that's the significance.
Did I explain that in our class sometime? 3 Shantis?
I don't remember, I don't recall.
Does anybody recall?
Yeah, I think
you did.
we did.
Adidaiva, Adibhuta, and Adhyatmika.
So the question is this: did I say it in this class or in the Kirti class or some other class? That is the question I'm asking. Some of you know the meaning. I know that.
I think
in this class.
In this class only.
Okay. Good. So I'll explain that briefly. So 3 times we are saying Shanti. So that also there is a beautiful meaning. So Tapatrayam, there is something called Tapatrayam. Means 3 kinds of obstacles, 3 kinds of difficulties we face. One difficulty is the forces of nature, forces of Mother Nature. And like floods and famines and storms and to Chennai, water shortage. Now, what do you do with this kind of stuff? And no lack of rain. Too much rain also is a problem. Lack of rain also is a problem. And so these are all factors which we can't control, even though some of us can attribute human actions to what's happening today in India in some places. Still, factors that we cannot control, factors that are attributed to Ishvara, Daivika Shakti. That is called Adi Daivika Tapam. These things happen, these are Ishvara's will. And the first Shanti is meant to neutralize that Adi Daivika Tapam. And so that is called Adi Daivika Shanti. Adi Daivika Mangalam. The force, let these forces be in their own places and let them not disturb me. That is the first Shanti. Second tapa is second type of obstacle is obstacles in my immediate surroundings over which we have some control. So you drive on the road and the roads are all potholes and this and that. And we have some control. We are the ones who built these roads. Why doesn't this corporation build these roads? Rebuild it. All these things, we have some control over these things. And the immediate neighborhood, we have some control. So morning I'm practicing some music or something like that. Or there's a class in the morning and somebody is, hitting the nail on the wall at 6:30 in the morning. Then we say, we can go there and tell them, hey, wait a minute. Give us an hour, 2 hours. After that, you can do what you want because it's disturbing us right now. So some control. Obstacles, some control. That is called Adi Bhautika Tapam. Adi Bhautika. Bhautika. So things in this world over which are immediately visible to us, over which we have some control. There is traffic, too much noise is there. I can close the window so the class can proceed, with less noise. All this is Adi Bhautika Tapam. Therefore, Adi Bhautika Shanti, second Shanti. Third Shanti refers to the obstacles which occur in my own body and mind. My own body and mind. My own body and so problems are there. Disease is always there. And I sit in class and 10 minutes later, my lower back calls me and say, think about me also. Think about me because this lower back problem is there, chronic problem. And it is sometimes it is shooting pain, piercing pain. And so that is there. And then the mind is of course there. Body is good, but where is the mind? The mind is thinking of so many other things. So that is also an obstacle. Very, very familiar obstacle to all of us. So things like this. And the mind is okay, but then it is not able to grasp some certain things or many things. So may you give me the strength may those kinds of obstacles go away. It's called Adhyatmika Tapam. These difficulties are called Adhyatmika Tapam. And so this last Shanti is Adhyatmika Shanti. Adhyatmika Shanti. And so that is why we chant Shanti 3 times, not just for this mantra, but in Veda Parayanam we do it. And wherever, whichever mantras are there, Apyayantu Mamangani, Kenopanishad, Vak Pranas Chakshu Shrotra Matho Balam Indriyani Cha Sarvani, we finish, we say Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that's very typical in the Vedic culture. So generally they will translate this as Om Peace, Peace, Peace. So now how are you going to interpret this word peace? P-E-A-C-E. Now if we write definitions of peace in this class, there are 10 of us here, we'll have 10 different definitions. So peace. So yeah, so everything will be included in this peace. But these are the specific meanings of these Shantis. So
would you say that the Adhyatmik Tapam, we have full control? Or we have, like you said, no control over Adi Devik Tapam, some control over Adi Bhautik Tapam, right? Would you say that for Adhyatmik Tapam we have full control, so we should be able to...
So in general, we do not have full control over anything. Okay, I think that much we can accept. Right. So when we say control, we have some control. The door is open and there is noise, I can have some control, I can lock the door, etc. And there is some disease, I'm having a cold, So I can take some precautions. I can minimize the impact of the disease, etc. So some control is definitely there. Yeah, how I got the cold, we can do a postmortem, and every parent does a postmortem. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? The poor child is, Mom, I don't know. Why did you go there without wearing your this thing? It's so cold outside. These children don't like to wear any caps. They don't like to wear jackets. They don't like anything. I mean, this is amazing. They have to rush out. It is their only thing. It doesn't matter. Very cold. Yeah, I told you to wear the jacket. So anyway, we have some control over these things. And so mind, etc., less control. But even there, of course, we do our values, dharma, all those things help in gaining that concentration, gaining that sthiratvam, ability to concentrate on a particular subject for a certain length of time. All these things we can cultivate these habits. And so, yeah, we do have some control over these things. Yeah. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So these shlokas that we chant at the end, that also I should explain sometime. So I did that, I think, last week in the Kirti class. So we will talk about that another time. And Purnamada also, Purnamada Purnamidam is an important shloka, mantra. That also we'll talk about.